Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so that potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make an informed buying decision. If you would like to learn more about this business, including details like what type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included with the business, simply visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business's listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. First up, let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
So my background is definitely more on the technical side. I've been working in software development now for 15 years. And when this property came along about 2 years ago, it was very mismanaged and had lots of opportunities. So me and a business partner picked it up then, and we turned a lot of it around, I think. And our experience running it, really now, it just needs to be maintained and kept running and grow. And it feels like a good opportunity for us to move on to our next project.
Why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
When we purchased it, the business was on a very downward trend and it was noticeable. Very little community management, no updates, no growth. It was just very poorly ran. We turned around a lot of it through user acquisition, new updates, designing, updating the infrastructure, cutting costs, and really made the business viable. At this point, it's just really a user acquisition game and an advertising game and a growing it game. And that's not areas that we excel at. We really excel at identifying opportunities to help things that have been mismanaged, and running a business long-term isn't really something that we do.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
The amount of work now is definitely much less than it was when we started. Now the business just needs to maintain and run, and I would say from a development side, just a few hours a week. From a business side, definitely more if you wanted to grow it. And then as far as requirements and such, there's weekly events that need to be updated. It takes roughly half an hour once you know what you're doing, half an hour a week or so. And that's really the only work to maintain it.
So if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
The way you grow it is definitely through just paid advertising, user acquisition, and continuing to put out new content, I think. If you were to try to grow it big, this game has been massive in the past and could be again, but advertising isn't one of our strongest points, and growing it isn't something that we're good at. We're good at turning it around and identifying opportunities that were bad and mismanaged, and more of fixing those. So if you were to try to grow it, I would definitely lean into the user side of it.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
The one big part of this business that's really the only risk is it has to maintain a critical mass of users. We have loyal players that have been playing since 2016, 2015, and those players love the game, they enjoy the game. The biggest risk really is just losing too many players to where the game no longer has enough players for it to be fun to play. So definitely disregarding player input, not doing proper customer support, not managing the community is a big risk, I would say.
How much support are you willing to offer the buyer who acquires this business?
New buyers are probably going to have a lot of questions for this one. There's a lot of technical in the background. This game was built by a very large team in its heyday, had a team of 40 to 50 people during development and design and launch. We've simplified a lot of the process. There's a lot of services on AWS that now do things automatically. New data being pushed to the game, new units being added to the game. things like that. We have contractors that we use for most of it. As far as support that we're willing to offer buyers, 24/7 quote unquote support, probably around 30 to 60 days. Most likely 30 days would be enough. But we're not going to vanish. We like the game and we think the game has huge potential and it's a great game. So we're not going to just leave you high and dry on it. There won't be as much 24/7 support once we pass through the initial period. But if you ever needed something, always feel free to reach out and ask a question. How did you do this? How would you do this? That kind of thing would be totally fine.
Got it. And regarding the sale of the business, would you agree to a non-compete?
Yeah, we can definitely commit to the non-compete. Trying to compete with this game from scratch would be a nightmare, even if we wanted to. It's a huge game in breadth and scope and just graphics, initial upfront investment. It's a great product, but building it from scratch is huge.
Are you open to negotiating something like an earn-out agreement?
We would be somewhat flexible on the payment as long as it makes sense for both of us. There's not really a hard number that we're looking for, or we're not trying to get out of it quickly. It's a great property that's running and bringing in great profit, so we don't need to dump it quickly. So I would say we're good with flexible financing options.
Okay, final question. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why is your business a business worth buying?
I think the business is priced very well for the amount of revenue that it's bringing in. I think it has huge long-term potential. We have players that have played for a long time that have no intentions of quitting. We've released new features. We've released new units. We've released new game modes. There's been tons of work done to this game in the last year and a half or more that we've had it. And it's a really good time to come in and really grow it exponentially if you have the know-how.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this business is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll find everything you need to know about this business. So, thanks for joining us. See you next time.